morning, everyone. How are you all? Okay. So, I sincerely apologize for this delay actually. You know how the traffic of Pune is always, you know. Uh, so, and thanks guys for, giving such a great introduction out there. I live with my wife in Pune and I do have two babies actually. So, one is Magnet Insights and the other one is BTB Venture. So when I say two babies, it is I literally meant these are my two babies because I'm just growing them from scratch, and that's where that is the first thing that I wanted to bring in to your attention, that you need to treat your companies as your own babies, and then you can increase your family planning if required. But then you need to grow these companies at the first priority as your babies. So now what we are going to talk today is extremely important, and it is the source of the entrepreneurship and how to do a business growth. So I think, how many of you are opting out for the placements this year? Can you please raise your hands? Or maybe how many of you have a plans to opt for the placements? Yeah. And how many of you are thinking to start something of your own? Oh, that's interesting. Now, what we are going to talk today, so before I begin my session, I just would like to do a quick aptitude so that I can fine tune my talk as per the depth. So I just ask you some of the questions and you just need to raise the hand who are fitting in this particular categories. So the first question is, how many of you wish to work with the startups? Okay. How many of you wish to work with Fortune 500 companies like Mercedes-Benz? Interesting. How many of you are reading the books and related newspapers like Economic Times on regular basis? Wow. I mean, the ET people will not be happy after seeing this, how many of you are watching the shows like Shark Tanks on regular basis? Not regular basis. Okay, perfect. How many of you have already set your goal that you want to become a CMO, or you want to become a head of R&D, or you want to become head of production right now? You have set up the goal. Perfect. How many of you have been failed so far? But I'm wondering that everyone must be having a great CEO scores out, CET scores actually, right? So where have you failed is really the point of access actually. But thanks for raising the hand. Now, how many of you have the business mind? Okay. And how many of you have the technology or the R&D kind of mind? Many of you. Okay. Now, in the entrepreneurship, there are two ways actually in order to grow. Entrepreneurship is not something to start your company at your own. It is not only about that. The second way of entrepreneurship is growing into your current company in a horizontal ladder. So when you start any of the organization from beginning, you need to cross that particular ladder and achieve certain goals for that particular organization. That is also a part of having a good entrepreneurs. So if you have seen, do you think that Satya Nadella have found his company? He haven't, right? But he's still a CEO of the company and he's a successful entrepreneur. Why? Because he has grown into that particular company in a horizontal ladder. On the contrary, Steve Jobs, he co-founded his own company and he's a savvy entrepreneur out there. Why? Because there are these two types of entrepreneurship. One is founding your own organizations, and second, working with an organization who will take you as a leader in your future goals. So I just want to clear the air that it is not only about building your own companies. I hope it's clear. Okay, fantastic. So today's talk will be distributed in two segments. So the first one will be, what is the basics of entrepreneurship, and second, what is the real business growth out there, or what kind of value that you need to bring into the companies when you join those companies. And believe me, this is something that you might need to work from your engineering, because professors keep must telling you that attend these lectures and do your submission successfully. But and I hope you guys are doing submissions right now. So what I want to convey is the basic concepts really help in near future. It is not that this syllabus is not applicable during your journey towards the success. So those syllabus are definitely applicable. So this journey will begin right from today, right from your second year, third year, or final year. So certain checkpoints. So first we'll talk on the detailed view of what is entrepreneurship, then how to start something of your own. Then third, what is the real mindset or the pattern of the mindset that is required, and what not to do. That is also important. What are the skills that are required? From my experience, from my perception, I'll put certain case studies and what is the real secret sauce behind growing any kind of companies. So since we have been working with more than 240 companies as of now, we have brought that expertise to grow those companies from startups to a mid-size, and then mid-size to a Fortune 500. So that's where I'll put together some statistics around it, and then the growth strategies, and then finally we will go ahead with the questions. Now I want to spend more time on the questions. So in case if you have any questions, then just make a note of it while the session is going on. And once the session is done, feel free to raise your hand so that we will have concrete interactive sessions. Now, what is entrepreneurship? It is jugaad. Okay, what is jugaad? So this guy out there is a guy who is in Pune. Okay, now he's trying to sell the coffee like a Starbucks. Now, what is the difference between the Starbucks coffee and the regular coffee? Starbucks do have a steam engines out there, if you know, right? So this guy is doing these kind of things, and he's preparing the ditto coffee similar to Starbucks. What is this? It is a jugaad. Now, what is the difference between this guy and the Starbucks? Cost, branding. Any more points? That's correct. So there are three main differences actually. So first, Starbucks successfully portrayed their brands to the end consumers, while this guy failed. Second thing, Starbucks do have global marketing strategies, and they really know what consumer needs. What consumer needs? Consumer needs a space. Consumer needs hygiene. What consumer needs? They really want to grab a coffee in a nice and decent atmosphere. You don't want to grab a coffee around a road, right? I mean, and when you are going out on a date, then especially you don't want to grab a coffee on the road. So that's where this jugaad is extremely important piece, that how and what kind of problems that you are trying to solve for the end customers, and that is the real source of being a successful entrepreneur. You need to really pinpoint to the problems that customers are facing on regular basis. Now, I'll just get into my regular definitions, and I hope that you will not get bored with it, because this is something which is a texty, I would say. So this entrepreneurship is derived from the word intraprendre, which meant to undertake. Now, what to undertake is something that we need to define. Now, to undertake with great amount of risk and energy is what we call it as entrepreneur. And what is the definition? So, I'll not tell you the Fung Suk Wang definition kind of thing, the continued two-liner monologue, so that will not be there. It is just a small and simple definition. Just keep your attention on the words. So, it is a process of creating something new with value of developing the necessary time, effort, assuming the accompanying financial, social, and psychic risk and resulting rewards of personal satisfaction. There is no word money out there. There is a word satisfaction. There is no word as something we call it as no risk. It is a psychic risk. It is not the external risk of money, but it is also a psychic risk. You need to put your brain, mind, heart, soul, your toes, every single thing, specifically on one vision, and that is what we call it as entrepreneurship. Okay, and it's not a new term actually. So there are two ways, as I said. So first is to become integral part of the big brands or startups, or to start something of your own. And this is not a new term, to be very honest. It started 20,000 years ago. So when evolution was happening, people I mean, say the Homo sapiens were actually struggling to get their food, and that's when the agriculture revolution started taking up the pace. Now that is the example of entrepreneurship itself, because what they solved is they solved their simple daily routine problem out there. And let's say if you, I'll just give you one exercise. If you're walking around Cummins, just illustrate 5 problems that Cummins is facing now today, and for out of those 5 problems, choose the one, and you will have one idea. Some of them are laughing actually, because I hope that there are no problems out there. So I think out of those 5 ideas, you need to handpick one idea, and that idea, if you make it commercial, I'm sure that there is entrepreneurship behind it. You got the pulse, right? Okay, perfect. One more thing, it is actually an invention. So Africans people have started it with trading actually. They were doing salts as a trading, and that's how they invented the money in the maybe 20,000 years back. And entrepreneurship is not an astrology. Okay, you cannot see the hand and you predict that तेरा business अगले 10 साल में 15 करोड़ का धंधा करेगा. That is not going to be the case. It is a prediction. So there is a difference between the astrology and the prediction. You really need to predict what your business is going to be. You really need to predict that what kind of career role you are going to embark in future. So that is the most important thing. How many of you know the women entrepreneurs? Can you tell me some of the names? Arpana. Okay. So you will be surprised to see that in the entrepreneurship you always hear the folks like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Those are the big brands actually, big names out there. But let's stick to India. How's the Josh? Yeah. So let's stick to India, and we will just find out that who are the successful entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs in India. So first lady is the CEO of PepsiCo. Second, can you tell me? It is SBI's CEO. Third one, Ekta Kapoor. Many of you must be knowing, who is she. So though she is not carrying the title of CEO or founder, she is the biggest production house. She is in every single house out there, because she knew what is the pain. What is the pain that people and women especially love the drama and story. And that's where she entered into that particular space in the entertainment segment, and she created monopoly around it. And then last one is the Chanda Kochhar, who is the CEO of ICICI. Now what is the intention of showing this slide? So since I am in the India's finest college for the women actually, so I want to tell you that we need someone from Cummins as well, in the coming years, and that's where I thought to put this particular slide as a main piece. And when I was speaking with Mr. Nitin actually just some time ago, that he really had that pain, that how entrepreneurs should come out from the Cummins. That is the main reason. So that's where I thought to put this particular slide out there. Now, how to start something? Do you have questions around it? That what is the real key to make this cook? What is the real strategy behind this? So I'll just put some of my points out here. So the first thing is, you really need to have a strong understanding on the right market, okay, right idea, and right time. Okay, so right market is something which is extremely crucial. You need to know who is your audience, right? You cannot open a Starbucks shop, in Dharavi Jhopadpatti. You need to understand who is your target audience really better. Second is, you need to have a right idea. If idea is not there, I don't think it is going to yield any sort of fruits, because idea and then vision are related to each other. And then third thing is the right time. Now what is the right time? So let's say if you are on the ocean, if you are on the coast of the ocean, will you try to sell the water of ocean to someone who is wandering around? You will not sell it, right? That is the basic principle. In management terms, that is called as red ocean. Do not go after the companies or the target areas which are highly saturated. In the manufacturing segment itself, everyone out there is just creating the same piece of shit. So they're manufacturing something, they're producing something, but there is a huge scope of improvement on what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, kind of things. And there are especially two categories. So one is B2C and then second one is B2B. You understood, right? What is B2C and what is B2B? Absolutely, absolutely. Any examples on B2C? Paytm, right? Paytm is the new example in the e-commerce segment. Now, why they got successful in their business? जिस दिन आपका नोट बंद हो गया, उस दिन पे उन्होंने टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में बड़ा ऐड छपवा दिया दैट एटीएम नहीं पेटीएम करो, राइट? Now, if you see this as a success story, this was a right market across all the consumers. नोटबंदी हुई थी, इसके लिए it was a right time, and the idea was right that always we need to carry the cash. So these three things are matching over here. Second example, Jio, right? Why it is the right market? Now today, more than seeing ourselves in the mirror or more than reading books, people are spending time on the WhatsApp and internet. That is the reality, and that's where these people have traced that particular thing, that internet is going to be a next big thing. So what they did is they executed the idea of giving internet in the low cost, but then again it was a part of blue ocean strategy. They have got all the consumers around it, and now even though they will increase the price 10% each year, they will be profitable in next 2 years. That is what you need to understand, that right timing was also there out there. So the other subscribers like Airtel and all the Comcast and those players, they were like doing the price hikes, and at the same time these people have reduced the price and they penetrate the market deeply. Then delivery is something which is also coming up as a next big thing. So pizza delivery boy kabhi aapko time pe pizza nahi deliver karta hai, right? So now these people are wondering that can we develop certain vehicles who can fly and deliver the pizza at your doorstep. Interesting concept, right? So these kind of innovations are happening in the B2C segment, and if we think as a B2B, then there is a marketing evolution which is happening. So if you see that traditionally when you were born, what kind of advertisements you were seeing around? It was in the newspapers, it was on the television, right? Then in certain cases, you might see the hoardings out there along with the politicians, right? So these kind of advertisements were there, but now where it is going? If you see the digital industry, Netflix is coming as a big player, right? Why? Because they are advertising to a right audience, and then the hype of the advertisement is out there, that there is one Mexican company who is going to launch their satellites out there, and you will be able to see the advertisements in the sky. So if you are sitting in the United States Bay Area, if you want to see the Coca-Cola ad, and if you are wandering on the street, don't wonder that if you see the ad in the sky. Now this itself is an example of innovation. No one have think that we can portray those ads in the sky. You got the concept, right? Okay. So these kind of innovations are happening every day. Even there are spiritual startups who are coming in really well since last couple of years. So I'll not name it, but that is one of the biggest example of how they are evolving as a startup to a larger segment. Now, when you start something, you really need to know your industry as a boss. If you don't know your industry as a boss, then you are going to fail. Now, what do you mean by knowing the industry in the right direction? So I might send you one quick checklist of one pager after this session, that what you need to study in order to study your domain really well. So there is some management mechanics out there. Then next point is accountability. You really need to see it as your own. There will be no third person who will support you, nor your parents. I mean, they will support you, but the vision, the drive, and then all the passion which is required is not something that you can purchase from a stall. That is something which will be inside your heart. So accountability is the extremely important piece out there, and no one is going to support you for the accountability. You are the owner. And when I say owner, let's say if your employees are making the mistake, you are making the mistake. If your consumers are giving the feedback, you need to take those feedbacks on your own. That kind of sensitivity is called as accountability, and that is extremely important piece in order to grow. Then next is the values and the right team. When I say values, the ethics are really important when you drive any sort of business. If you don't have the real values on what you intend to do, how you intend to do, and with what are the measurement criteria, then you will not be succeed in terms of taking your startup to a next level. So values and the right team, so right players are equally important, but the main player in your startup is you itself. So you need to start it from your own. And then there are certain tactics. Then some of the startups have failed because they had an idea, and the first thing that they did is they took the loan and they opened the office, lavish office in the first place, and then they got bankrupt. It is the worst example of getting into market, putting your own money before doing the right due diligence on what you need to execute. So that is also an equal and important piece. Then market fit and competitiveness is also equally important, right? So when I say market fit, you need to sell the right product to the right audience. You cannot sell the product to the wrong audience. So audience persona is a management technique where you need to define who are your potential buyers. Then become virtual. Become virtual means you are sitting in India and world is getting so much closer that you can do the business in UK, in US, South Africa, Singapore, Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. There are n number of countries that are available in order to do the business from here, from India. Now, since a lot of you are from mechanical background, so Africa recently have launched one strategy that they will provide the loan and we just need to go there and then we need to set up the business at a cheap cost. Then machinery will be provided by those people. Now those kind of virtual things are also coming in a right direction. So I think those are the things that you can also think about, that do you want to stick to India or you want to also expand around other countries as well. But think of me, I mean India in next 5 years is going to be a great potential country across the globe. So my suggestion, stay here, do your business here, and then virtually you can set up, bring the currency from outside to India. That's what we have the potential. So and I don't want to give the Akshay Kumar speech of London, that what was that movie? Namaste London. I know you know the importance of India out there. Then one more thing is there, that you need to keep a track that every lesson that you have learned since beginning actually. So what you have learned in the engineering, the basic principles remain same throughout the journey when you are building something. So like blue ocean strategy, red ocean strategy, then SWOT analysis, PESTEL, then building the right business plans. Now what is a business plan? अब ये प्रोफेसर लोग जो आपको बोलते हैं कि प्रोजेक्ट का हमको डिस्क्रिप्शन बना के दो, 6 पेजर का प्रिंट आउट चाहिए, राइट? The project plan that you submit is nothing but a business plan. But we don't put so much attention on those things because it is a curriculum, right? So that's where the things that are happening right now in the engineering might support you, in the coming year. And then the last but the foremost thing, that you need to understand every single thing that what you are doing. You need to be your office boy, you need to be your finance person, you need to be your sales person, you need to be your technical person. So all those things, you need to be a one man, Spider-Man kind of thing, who knows everything about all the kind of things. And that's where you need to create that kind of aura, that all sort of things by standing here, by standing in your own company. Now what sort of pattern that these entrepreneurs have? So first thing, and these are some of the qualities and the characteristics that are not there in any books actually. So the first thing is they are 24/7 alert and always on their toes. So they sweat coffee and they think 24/7 with the alertness of mind that what is happening, what's not happening. They have a mind of fox. You got what I mean to say. Then they respect their customers more than anything else. More than their relatives, they respect their customers actually. They never tap on their back. So if they say I did really amazing job out there, in that case they are killing themselves, they are doing the suicide. So never tap the back, always see the process improvements out there on regular basis. And then the next thing is the art of seeing after the 20 years. If you are not evolving, in 2 years you will die. That is the important piece. And then the adaptation to survive. Now in the survival there are certain factors which plays a big role. Finance, money. Money is the biggest survival factor out there when you are running a company. You really need to have a cash flow with yourself that is generated by you and not from the mortgage lenders. You need to generate your own cash, you need to make your own savings, and then you need to utilize that particular cash in order to fuel your business. If you're going to go for the bank option, and if your idea don't succeed, then it is a bad situation out there. The next thing is finding the right balance. You need to find out the right balance between all the departments which are there. You really need to have a realistic propositions actually. So you cannot sit today and think that if you are sitting in the morning and if you are going out for a morning walk and if you are in the deeply meditative stage, and let's say आपको एक thought आया, एक साल में मेरा कंपनी 5 करोड़ का टर्नओवर करेगा, and then you started running it. That is not how the things are going to work. You really need to take extreme small steps out there when you illustrate your idea on the page. And sustaining this business is a hell lot of work, but half the battle is done when you stay hungry. Okay, you desperately need to stay hungry when you are running any sort of company out there. If you are not hungry, if you are lazy, then I don't think that any of the startup will survive. And then again, this extremely important piece out there is you need to have a strong faith. Strong faith not on any spiritual gurus but on yourself. You really need to have a strong faith on yourself that this is something that is your cup of tea and you will make it. And then the next one is the focus and aggression. The focus and aggression, these are the two different characteristics. Now when I say focus, you cannot stay focused when you are aggressive, or when you are aggressive you cannot stay focused. But over here it is a combination of both. You need to really stay focused and you really need to be aggressive, because at the end customer is your hero at the end of the day. And then ability to begin from nothing. If you have any intentions, don't think at day one that you will have your own office within 15 days of time. That is not going to happen, to be very honest. You really need to start it from your bedroom, and then to hall, and then you need to take a big office kind of thing. You really need to take some small and strategic steps in order to grow. So that kind of pattern is there, using which the entrepreneurs usually think. And then this is what the mind thinks, but this is also head also plays a big role out there, because we cannot rely on the intuitions always. So what sort of pattern is there for the head of entrepreneurs actually? So first thing is, the secret is you should know your business more than anyone else in the world actually. If you know your business more than anyone else in the world, then that is something where you will win the battle in the first place itself. Second is, focus on your muscles and not the grades. So there is no thumb rule actually. So if you are still focusing on your grades, that it is the CPG is this much and those kind of grades out there, then I think those grades will not support at the end of the day. Those will support you in the placements, but the real learning behind the grades is actually important out there. Then the important thing of the head of the entrepreneur is they really know what the customer is looking at, and then they also know that how to execute it to a further level. They have a detailed roadmap that, let's say this is a step 1, what will be there at the step 5. The detailed roadmap is also equally important. In the head, the one thing that should always go is you need to sideline your competition, right? There is a hell lot of competition out there, and the thought has to be there that you will sideline your competition. And the one is extremely important. Now, how many of you know that who have invented the car? Who have invented the car? Okay. And what is the most famous brand in the cars today? Mercedes? Okay. Everyone knows about the Mercedes, but the first inventor, usually no one knows. So this is the important thing. You don't need to be first always in order to be a better. So this is a basic philosophy. It is okay if you invent a car, it is okay, but then you need to be better than what was invented earlier. So the invention is always important theory behind this. And then the last thing, in your head, let's say if you have a set of employees, you need to put all your eggs in one basket, and then you just need to see the basket. Khatam. So you need to really see that how these eggs are there in the one basket, and you need to protect them. That's it. So I hope this pattern of head is clear to everyone. And what not to do is extremely important. Okay, because then these are some of the observations that I have made myself. So the first thing is, never start anything just to make a money. If you want to make a money, then there are other ways of doing it in the business as well, in the job itself. But then if you are passionate about the money and not the problem solving, then entrepreneurship is something which will not help. Second thing, don't be scared to change the plans. Now in my own company, I am changing every single thing every single day. The 2 years ago our methodology was different, and today it is totally different. And the only reason behind this is we are changing every day the plans which we are figuring out on regular basis. Then poor hiring decisions is also something which is a nasty thing. So we cannot hire people in a wrong direction, and then also spending a heavy money. So those are some of the important tips, because 90% of the time the pressure is all about the money. And then the important thing or important tactic is, you need to make a thumb rule that every day you will meet 2 business icons, or you will meet at least one new founder or CEO across your industry. Now how you will do that? There is a Facebook, there is a LinkedIn, there is a Twitter. There are n number of channels that are available, but you need to convey him that why you want to meet. And let's say in 365 days, even though if you're able to meet 80 people in a year, your half of the battle is done, because then you will have a strong thing as an industry connections. Out of those 80 people, 50 of them must have some strategic fit with what you are doing right now. And next thing is, don't raise the money, but see if you can generate the revenue. Never go ahead with the approach of generating the money with the loans or mortgages, or don't even try to borrow some money from the parents. I think the better way to start any business is, first you need to generate the revenue on your own self, and then you can seek for the investors and those kind of things. But then your model has to be such compelling that you need to generate the revenue on your own. And the next and the important thing is, don't have the chaotic schedules actually. And this chaotic schedules is something which will help you from right now. Now what I meant about the chaotic schedules is, do you know when Narendra Modi wake up in the morning? Right. Do you know when Mark Zuckerberg wake up? Bill Gates? Usually the pattern that they are following is, they wake up every morning a bit early. Some of you are laughing, but I think that's a really important piece. So your schedule needs to be extremely precise, that in 24 hours, let's say if you're spending 6 hours in sleep, then what are you doing for the other 18 hours? And then you need to have a realistic plan on what the schedule will look like. Now this will help you in a long run, not in a short run. Now this is one interesting story actually. So I'm done with my lot of theory. So this is, can you see the photos out there? Yeah. So there is one company in the US, okay? The name of the company is Fire Festival. Anyone know about the Fire Festival? You don't know, okay? So what the founder did is, first, now what is the Fire Festival? Fire Festival is a one island in Bahamas, okay? Those are one of the best islands that you will see in your history, okay? So what that guy did is, they have researched around these islands, and he started putting the advertisements. And those advertisements were about going on this particular island on a vacation for 8 days with 300 people that you don't know. Okay, so that was the advertisement. And then what he did is, he put together all the models, he did heavy photographies out there, then great videos went out, aggressive marketing out there. Even people were ready to take the loans just to go on this particular trip, because the kind of projection that he has created in the mind of consumer. But there is always a greed. So he got 300 registrations within a day. Okay, and the cost of one registration was more than $25,000 till $35,000 kind of thing. Within a 30 days, he got 300 new people who will go out on this island. The bookings were done. But then greed came into a place. He thought that 300 लोगों की वजह क्यों ना हम 30,000 लोगों को लेके जाए इधर. So he aggressively started putting the campaign. He again put some realistic videos out there. He went aggressive on the social media. He got 30,000 registrations in 15 days. Okay, but what was the reality? That he haven't really thought of the delivery. That whether those 30,000 people will fit out there, and if they fit, then what kind of arrangements that they need out there. He just went after the money, and then he destroyed himself. And then what happened is this: the tents arrangement was extremely poor. They even haven't got the good grounds. They even haven't had a time to book the flights, because all the flights were power packed. Because going to a Bahama where there is no airport, then private cruise was the private jet was one option, and then second one was cruise. What happened is, when the consumer went over here, out of those 30,000 people, almost 23,000 people have filed a case against this particular entrepreneur, and then he went to jail, and now he came back. Now this is an interesting use case. What this use case shows is, don't show lavish dreams to the customers. Okay, the way Airtel is doing right now. Don't show them the dreams, show them the reality. This is the most important thing. Second, don't run after the money. See whether you really have a delivery bandwidth, because for just few $1,000, if you go after going aggressively, you might lose the delivery, and you will have a bad branding out there across the industries. So this is the most important key takeaway of this particular use case. Then here are some of the skills actually. So I'll just quickly go through those skills. So the first thing is about the innovation, and innovation you already a lot of you must know about it. Second one is about the risk and uncertainty, and then fourth one is the organization building. In organization building, there are 15 different data points. So I can talk on each data point for, let's say, 15-20 minutes, but let's not go ahead into it. But the three parameters are innovation, risk, and the organizational building. Now, what is the real secret sauce? So since I'm speaking last for 15 minutes, what is the real secret sauce behind this? So the first is, leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. This is the first thing. Second thing, continuous progress is extremely important piece, and success is the most useless thing. It will get into your head. Third thing, this is the most good beautiful quotes that I have seen from Gates, is he never took a day off in his 20s. Okay, so instead of taking a lot of weekends, we can spend those weekends on utilizing them fruitfully for the coming years actually. Then the next is, remove the belief that funding is necessary in order to start something. Believe me, funding is not necessary. The idea is necessary. You can start it anywhere you want. And then of course the gray hairs. Now what I'm trying to say is, this talk is not about motivating you to start something of your own, but at least you can start thinking from a top side that how you will gray your hairs from now. You really need to gain the right set of experience in order to start the entrepreneurship, and then learn to work in chaos, because this space is not easy. You really need to work in the chaotic environment, because chaos is something that will bring the uneasiness, but then if that uneasiness is there, then only you will grow. So these are some of the secret sauce that I wanted to bring in. Now one more case study. Now this is extremely interesting case study out there. So the guy who is seeing the guy who is there in the slide out there. So this guy, his name is Jiro. Okay. Now, do you know sushi? The food. Yeah, you know the sushi, right? It is the most famous Japanese food out there. And do you know at what cost it is usually sell? It is around $15, $20. This guy is selling the sushi at $30,000. Okay, this guy owns a restaurant which can be available only for 6 people at a time. Okay, and then the cost is $30,000, and then you need to do a bookings 8 months in advance. Okay, tell me one restaurant which is there in Pune. Now, what is the source behind this particular case study? So I want to relate this particular thing to a management. Okay, so the first thing that he did, now how this guy grew. At first thing that he did is he first created sushi on his own self. So he was the single owner when he used to create the sushis. But then he has one method. He used to select the certain set of fish out there. He used to scramble them with right set of approach. Even ऐसे नहीं करेगा वो ऐसे ही करेगा. Okay, and then cutting has to be a night and extremely precise actually. So those kind of about 500 to 600 different techniques that he has developed on himself. This was the first phase of the growth. In the second phase, what he did is he started directing. He hired one guy and he ended up spending, now internship कितने दिन का होता है? 3 months. This guy had an internship of 10 years. Yes, this guy had an internship program of 10 years, paid internship, but then they will not allow you to go on floor actually. So during these 10 years, he trained 2 people, and now those 2 people are the one who are actually leading this phase 3, which is growth through a delegation. So every day he is just seeing that what kind of arrangements are there in the morning, and then these 2 people are just working, and then the next thing is they have a real control on what they want to serve, what they are serving. They really serve in a real time. Everything is quality oriented, and even Barack Obama enjoyed the dish out there. And now businesses don't need to be big in terms of the number of employees. It is not necessary. It can be 5 people company, but you can make a huge amount of revenue if the processes are set in the right direction. Now this is what one of the best growth strategies that I have seen actually. Then this changes in the social media is again changes in the media is also one thing that is coming up. So everyone must be knowing about this Netflix and all those things which are coming in. Earlier we used to watch the radios and TVs, and now Netflix is coming into a place. This Netflix itself is the biggest revolution out there. Now what next after the Netflix is what we need to think. And that's where we'll bring some of the revolutions. Now I want to bring your attention to this Volkswagen case study as well. So reducing the cost is always equally important when you drive the business. What these people have observed is they used to spend excess amount of money on just producing the steels. Okay, then they did some robotics process automation, and now they have reduced around 5,000 employees, and now it is just done with the spraying and all will be done with the help of machines actually, and now they are in 30% profit. Okay, so I think the main thing is customers are the brand ambassadors, and that's where you need to put real attention. Sales is something that is not going to help, but the customers are the one who will be your buzzwords. So they will spray the words, and then you will get the end number of customers out there. There are some of the hot areas right now which are going out there. So one is the wellness. Apple Watch is one of the example of wellness segment, where it will also predict you that what kind of heartbeat is there. This segment is coming up really well, and there is a huge scope in the wellness segment. Second is the online media. So something which is online as a platform will definitely work. Third thing is advanced marketing. The example that I told you just before some time about this advertisements in the sky is one thing. Then AI for the manufacturing and industrial automation. Now AI is extremely घिसा पिटा word हो चुका है अभी. So everyone just talks about the AI machine learning, but the real value is out there when you make your hands dirty on the ground. Then you will understand the reality that AI की ज़रूरत किधर है. And then last one is a growing your ladder in one company with a pace. So this is again one of the hot areas. So if you join any company, go till the end, because I'm sure that the nowadays the CEOs who are there are extremely young. When they join the company as a senior analyst, they immediately promote them as a co-founder kind of thing if they show the right direction to those companies.